Hello everyone, I'm Katie. So we're trying it this way round because it's not allowing us to both be in the chat together for some reason. So hopefully you'll find me here now. Okay, hi Gina. So I'll just wait a couple of minutes so that you find me. And okay, Elizabeth, I can see you there and it's giving me an option to bring you on camera, so I'll try it. Let's see if it works this way round. Okay. It's saying it's adding you. But then nothing's happening. Have to love technology when you're talking about things that are highly important for our soul journeys. I always seem to have these technical, fiddlings. Okay. Hang on. I'm trying to... Yeah, it's showing me that you're there, but it's not allowing me to accept you. Yeah, I got your request and I can open it, but on the accept button, it's like I can't press it. Okay, I'll keep trying it. So. Well, this live is to talk about soul contracts and how we can work to release ourselves from these and bring more freedom into our lives through working with the Blue Lotus. And I know that many of you already have experience with the Lotus, and maybe for some of you it's something new. So we have the chat where you can ask me questions as well, because it's really great if we can be interactive with this. And yeah, and then I'll talk as well and yeah, and sort of tell you about my experiences. I always feel that it's really important with this kind of work that we talk about from our own personal experience, because of course we can speculate about so many things, but unless we've really had this embodied experience ourselves, we don't really know for sure what's true or not. And I feel that this is very important, especially in this kind of new age. I nearly said new cage then, which is what I wanted to say, but new age. In this new age era of things, there's many falsities about our existence and about working with energy. So I know I'm in Egypt, and I know that I have usually quite a slow internet connection. So apologies if this is lagging or kind of pauses, but I am here. So something that's very interesting for me about soul contracts is that I feel that really, if we allow them to, and especially if we don't have an awareness of them, they can completely dominate our lives. And this can mean then that we're kind of living through these kind of preordained or predestined agendas, which have been set at some point in dimensions, in timelines, and it kind of brings up the question of really free will. Like, do we really have free will? And I'm not so sure that we do when we're living through these manipulations of soul contracts, and because these can really form the core of who we are, or the core of our existence. And again, we may not be aware of this. So what we think is us, is it really us? Are the beliefs that we have really ours? Are the actions that we have, or the reactions and certain emotions, are they really ours? Or have they been programmed through our bloodline, programmed through the collective consciousness? And when we can kind of peel these layers away, we really get back to the truth of who we are, and life becomes so much more simple and a lot more easeful and more joyful. So yeah, please comment and ask questions as I'm going along. And for me, I feel like this is the top priority. Sorry, I don't know, hopefully, can you let me know that you're still hearing and seeing me? Because my connection is going weird. Okay, yeah. So for me, my top priority in my life is freedom, and this is freedom at absolutely every level. The freedom and the ease within my body, and in the choices that I can make in my life. Because again, if we're bound to these kind of soul contracts, or you could think of them as blood covenants, because often this kind of thing is made in blood, whether it's through agreements or sacrifice, through sex magic. It's like bodily fluids as well as the spoken words create an energy that lasts throughout time and space, and this is then like a spider web that binds us. So for me, deconstructing this and finding out, like, okay, so now what do I choose? What is it that I really want to hold and keep in my life, and what is it that I want to let go of and have freedom from? 99.9% of things it's to let go of, and this can include our belief systems, our like the food we eat, the habits that we have, the people that we sleep with, people that are around us, like the kind of jobs that we choose. Is like everything on every level, from the tiniest things of the choices that we make every day to like the bigger life choices, which are maybe going to be longer lasting. So I hope that this is making sense so far. It's for me, I didn't have the words for it as a child, but I was feeling all of this from a very, very young age, and realizing from about the age of 8 that my ancestors didn't have to define me, and that I could have a choice in this. And of course, it wasn't until I was a young adult, that I began to get more information about how to actually be more empowered in this. So I spent many years kind of being bombarded really with information, with the shit really of the collective, of my family line, until I came to a point where I was like, actually, this isn't my responsibility, and this isn't my stuff to heal. I can look at my part in it, like what's happening right now, but all of this throughout generations, take it back and take responsibility for this, and kind of flip it around, because I feel that part of an indoctrination that has been imposed on empaths, on very intuitive, highly sensitive persons, souls, is that we have to take responsibility for everything, and if not, we're terrible. You know, and this is about the earth, it's about the whole universe, it's about family, it's, yeah, the ancestors. But actually, do we really have to? And like, we each have our part to play in this, but definitely we don't need to take all of it on board, because we're going to drown in it. And I definitely have learned this the hard way, you could say. So when I started to discover about what we can call soul contracts, and unpick, like, okay, so this is coming from here and this is coming from here, and there's been so many layers of things that I have been working through and continue to work through, and I've had like physical changes in my body, I've had relationship changes, just everything in every way possible has kind of, yeah, like peeled away or opened. Like, you could think of it as petals of a lotus flower. It's like opening, and this is what I feel. Yeah, okay, so I've been feeling overwhelmed by feelings of guilt around being descended from white colonialism. Yeah, I think I feel with this is, again, we weren't the ones who did this, and I think there's kind of several sides of a coin to it, that some of the people that were involved in this, they knew full well what they were doing, and they were there to take what they could. Others maybe were sold a dream or a lie, and thought that they were doing the best possible for the land or for the indigenous people that they were affecting, and maybe they didn't realise until it was too late. And if you think about what happened in the last 5 years, there's another example of this, that many people are doing things from the information that they've been given, feeling that it's the right thing to do, but then finding out that they've been lied to. So it's again, I feel like it's something with this situation, it's something that we acknowledge, but we have to kind of release it back to them, to our ancestors, so that they can take responsibility for it, because otherwise they can't move on either. And it's like we're doing the healing for them and the processing, and I feel it's a bit like a balloon on a string, like we're kind of holding them to that because maybe we're pissed off about doing it, or maybe, yeah, the guilt or the shame. So they kind of get trapped in a different way. Whereas if we can release this, yeah, the guilt and the shame that we feel, and we can say, okay, now you take your part of it, and then they can also move on. And I have experienced this with the Witchfinder situation that I discovered in my family line, and in a similar way, and knowing that people were killed for being who they were and tortured, and at the same time there were also people who betrayed as well, and I feel that we all have this in our lineage too, and it's why we mostly hold a really great shame in our bodies around betrayal and being betrayed. So I hope that helps. And for me, one of the biggest gifts that the Blue Lotus has brought to me is ancestral healing, because it's a kind of, if you imagine all the roots of the lotus, they're so intermingled, and there's so many of them, exactly like our bloodlines, and it's like the lotus is permeating through them and really kind of digging out all of this stagnancy, or all of these parts which have been held captive. And yeah, I had many dreams, especially the first 6 months that I was working with the lotus, which gave me a lot of insights into my ancestors and things that I was able to look up online from sort of ancient times, Old Testament type stuff. And it was things I'd never heard of. And then I was looking it up and I was finding that these names and places were like recorded. And it was like bringing the pieces of a jigsaw together. So dance can help because we have a cellular memory, and something interesting, if you think like a prison cell, and then we have cells, cellular memory. It's like everything is trapped within, everything is within our body. And this can include, of course, so many gifts and so much kind of knowledge and wisdom, but also it can be a lot of trauma, PTSD, things that just don't maybe quite make sense, and then our body can react to this as well, and often this is through inflammation. So when we're like holding these old traumas which don't necessarily belong to us, our body goes into a kind of inflammatory response, and this, I think, happens a lot, like for any of you listening or watching, maybe that resonates with you. But I've seen this a lot with energy workers. So, yeah, so for dance, if you think of when we're moving our body, and especially working with belly dance and awaken belly dance, because it's, because we're working with the sacred geometry of our body, and all of the movements come from spirals into figures of 8. So just those movements in themselves, they're like an unwinding and an unlocking. So we can, of course, move all the different joints in our body in these different ways. But when we're really present with ourselves and really conscious about feeling the movement and feeling the emotions that come with that movement, because we're kind of opening and relaxing the fascia, which is like the kind of network through our body that holds everything together. So it's like an energy system that I feel is very quantum, it's very interdimensional, and it's through accessing this that we get this information coming through, and that we can release the emotions and we can let go of the stuckness. So movement from ancient times, ecstatic movement, it's a form of worship, it's a form of prayer. It was a way of bringing the community together and having a collective experience as a divine experience. And it was like a direct connection to Source or God, or however you want to think of it. And what happened is that the church or religions came in and they put somebody in place of this, so that you had to have a mediator between, to get the information from above to bring to you, and to go from you to above. And of course there's lots of space for fiddling within that, manipulations within that. So this direct connection was obliterated, because these kinds of trance dances were banned in many countries, as Christianity in particular kind of became more popular, or was enforced more. So when we dance together, especially as in a collective experience, whether it's online or in person, we're kind of bringing to the surface the collective soul contracts as well, because whoever is, I found it time and time again, whoever's there, like this unique recipe of people, of souls, there's always these invisible threads that are kind of resonating or mirroring between us, and this includes for me as well. And sometimes they become obvious, and other times we never know what they are. But there's something, and it's almost like a spot coming to the surface, that as we dance together and we're dancing in unity, whatever needs to be seen can then come up to be healed. Shelley, sorry. So when you, okay, hang on, it's not shut. So you're in South Carolina and you didn't know that you had relatives and a big farm named after them. And then you found out it was one of the brothers that came to Jamestown colony and went through Georgia on your mother's line. And it occurred to you after a while that you were there to clear karma for both slavery and the Cherokee removal, which is the famous Trail of Tears. And then they were taken from here to North Carolina. And then you found they were having a spiritual gathering on Stone Mountain in Georgia to do this kind of clearing work for both of those situations. I didn't have to come in person. I could unify with this and do my own ceremony. And things got easier for you, but it's still not really your place. Yeah, this is a really good example. And if you think about places in the world that you get drawn to, whether it's to live or whether it's to go on holiday or travel, I feel that it's like we're collecting pieces of ourselves. So like a soul retrieval. So we're kind of bringing our energy to the land at that time. And the land is also bringing her energy to us. And through this, there's something like there's some kind of balancing or integration that's taking place. And I really advise that if you're drawn to visit a particular place, that you go there, even if it makes no sense at all. I've lived in several countries and moved there, moved to them and lived there for that exact reason, having never visited them before. And every time there's been something, there's been parts of myself to gather again. Okay. So I don't know, Elizabeth, if you could put the link to the course in the comments, if that's okay, please. Okay. So in all of this, of what I'm saying, and like send the energy back or send the responsibilities back, I'm not saying it in a way to kind of bypass or be like, oh, like this didn't happen, or I'm not acknowledging this. It's really totally the opposite, but it's a way of acknowledging without taking it on board, and that's what's really important. So Elizabeth, you found the Blue Lotus really useful for bringing through old talents. Yeah, she's like a super conductor of creativity and of activating our creative energy and our sensual energy, which of course is all generated and held in our womb space. So there's so much potential that can sort of come through with this. Like whenever I'm going to do my newsletter, I always sit with a cup of lotus tea and like, okay, this afternoon, let's see what comes through and what I need to write about. Oh, thanks, Elizabeth. So she's just put the link to the course that starts on the 22nd, and it's a 9-month course. It's pretty much every month or every 3 to 4 weeks from this month until December. And we're going to be doing all kinds of exciting things. And yeah, I'm really excited for this. It's like a next level thing for me as well, of like bringing in some new stuff that I've been working on the last few years. I made some little notes before, so just checking. Yeah, so bringing the old talents back, it's also could be talents from this lifetime and also talents and gifts from your ancestors and from your other lifetime experiences. Now, the way that I think of it, rather than a linear past, present, future lives, I think of it more in a quantum spiral way. So everything is happening simultaneously, and these different versions of us are experiencing different things and involved in different things. And imagine if we can integrate all these parts of us together and bring ourselves into a complete unity with all of our talents and our alchemy. So what you might think are kind of new gifts coming through are maybe more like a remembering. And it's like you're remembering something from your bloodline, you're remembering something from the earth, from the collective, and remembering from the lotus, and maybe other lifetimes where you're involved with the lotus. Because for sure, if you're drawn, like listening now, or you're drawn to the course, this isn't the first time that you've worked with the lotus. So I feel it's more of a remembering rather than a learning. And Elizabeth has posted her academic studies on the lotus as well, so this will be really interesting. And also a podcast that we did together. If you haven't seen that yet, we talked really in depth about all kinds of things lotus related. Okay, just check. Ooh. If there's any other questions, of my special lotus necklace. It feels like it's part of a suit of armour or something. It's not so heavy, but it seems to generate a lot of heat, or maybe it's me. So maybe to complete this, we can say that the lotus is raising consciousness in a very organic way. It's very subtle. Sometimes you can be drinking the lotus or using the perfume oil every day and thinking, oh, I don't really know if anything is happening or should something be happening. But for sure there is, under the layers, because we've kind of been taught that everything has to be like fireworks to kind of prove that something's happening. And but we're working with energy here, and so remember, this is so subtle. I mean, of course there can be fireworks, but we're working on the much subtler levels, which maybe aren't always obvious to us until something starts to move in a different way to usual that we can kind of comprehend. So we're raising our consciousness with the lotus, and through this rising of our complete openness and awareness, we're more able to really see the truth of this world, the truth of why we're here, and the truth of what we came here to do. And this is what I feel ultimately that the lotus brings to us. There's also, maybe this is a topic for another day, about astral travel and the kind of death dimensions, what we think of as death. Maybe this is for another day, a different topic. But now I got excited about that and lost my train of thought. About what we came here to do. So I feel ultimately this is what the lotus wants to bring to us, and if we can receive this information and put it into action, this is what she brings, because it's very much about everybody rising, everybody being in a synarchy rather than hierarchy, so that we're letting go of this old paradigm of ego and territory and competition and everything. And like, how would it be if we were really like a honeycomb? Everything is supporting, we're all supporting each other, and we all have our unique and equally important roles to play in this play that we're in. And Yeah, and what is that, and can you accept that about yourself? So that then takes us back to the soul contracts, that as we relinquish these and we kind of break the bonds and step out of them, we have more space within ourselves, and we have more confidence to actually be who we are, who we were born to be. And I think that this is the most important thing that we can do as a being in a body. Okay, so I think we'll end there for today. And of course, if you're watching the recording and you've got any other questions, please write, and I'll do my best to answer them, or me or Elizabeth will do. So thank you very much for being here and listening. Okay, bye for now. Oh, and please join the course. It's going to be really amazing. Okay, bye-bye.